Living on a boat in Key West can seem like a dream, but the local Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Agency is calling for the destruction of liveaboard boats that they claim are illegal, derelict vessels. The owners are being arrested and their boats confiscated and destroyed. Liveaboards say they're being harassed by FWC officers who they claim are working for the developers of waterfront properties. FWC says they're only enforcing state law. The level of distrust between the two reached an all-time high earlier this month when FWC Captain David Dupree shot this man, Adam Bounds, inside his houseboat on Cow-Key Channel. We'd recently interviewed Adam. He didn't hide his frustration.
They're trying to call my boat a derelict houseboat.
Okay, which boat is yours?
My houseboat is the one with the American flag out.
Oh, that one. I talked to you before.
They arrested me on a Friday.
Okay.
On the morning of Tuesday, October 15th, Adam Bounds wrote on his Facebook page, "I think I'm going to make a big statement and run in front of a bus on US 1. Maybe then someone will take notice." About an hour later, he called FWC's headquarters in Tallahassee. Adam told the Blue Paper that he'd called to make an official complaint. He was hoping to get protection from the harassment he said he suffered from FWC officers. Local FWC officers used the suicide threat to obtain the location of Adam's phone from the phone company and sent 2 patrol boats out to his houseboat. Within 7 minutes of arrival, FWC's Captain David Dupree had climbed aboard, pried open the locked door, pulled out his gun and fired. He hit Adam multiple times, at least once in the abdomen. He was airlifted in critical condition to a Miami hospital. Doctors had to reattach his intestines and remove his spleen. Law enforcement accounts have somewhat varied and include Adam threatening to blow himself and officers up with a container of gasoline. Adam denies having tried to kill himself or anyone else. Whatever happened, Adam is not alone in claiming that FWC is out of control and bent on harassing liveaboards. David Espinoza, who lives aboard near Boca Chica, sent us this video. It shows FWC storming his houseboat.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground!
The reason for the warrant? David had been 8 days late in paying a $73 ticket. The ticket was for failure to remove an old registration decal.
Get on the ground! On the ground.
I don't want to lose it. I don't. It's a mess. This is just a big mess. I can't afford a lawyer because I make $12 an hour. This was a derelict investigation, he said. The vessel has no functioning motor and cannot operate. Had original intended purpose. The throttle controls and steering controls are dismantled and inoperable. That's a lie. My stern wheel is up there, and it does turn the rotors on the rudders.
Did he test any of this when he came?
No,
over?
he came through taking pictures and just he was belittling. I felt like he was belittling.
You're right.
I'm fighting for my house. This is where I live. I love my boat. This is all we have. We lost everything in Irma. I work, my husband works. This is not something, and for them to come in and say, this is just a pile of junk, and that hurts my feelings. I mean, he said, you should want to live better than this. And,
is that what he said?
Yeah, he was implying that how do you live like this? And I said, we live like this because this is how we live. We lost everything, you know? And this is all we have. This is my home, and I love it. I have made it through breast cancer. I have made it through so much. And I don't want to lose our house. It may not be the prettiest boat in the world, and it may not have an $8 million price tag on it, but this boat is priceless to me. This is my home.
Should have seen me yesterday. I look like a blue smurf. Look tall smurf. Just covered from head to toe in blue. Go get a cigarette and something. How much? 2 officers got off of their boat, got on this boat, went all through the cabin.
They went inside. Because the door was open, they went inside. And
That wasn't the only one of them. The other day they went on the Elizabeth out there, Steelhawk. They went on the vessel. You should have no right to go on that vessel. That is your private property. They use force to go inside your home, number one, and that's illegal. It shouldn't be right.
Adam Bound's frustration over the repeated searches of his houseboat was such that he painted the Fourth Amendment on the outside of the cabin. On Facebook, he posted, "They boarded my boat when I was not there. They think they have the right to board my houseboat at any time they want, and I disagree. That is a violation of my Fourth Amendment. Illegal search and seizure."
And as well, they broke the doorway on one of the sailboats. Nice sailboat, too.
So, how do you know that it was them that went on your boat, broke the doorway?
Because everybody out there saw them do it.
Okay, so you had a lot of witnesses that
yeah,
saw
a lot of
exactly
people. And
who was...
so they saw him go into my sailboat. They went and they broke the doorway, the slider. They were hanging out at it for a little while, and then they left after they went inside it and everything, which they had no reason to be there, no warrants of any sort, nothing. They just went in there because they felt like it. But that wasn't the first time. They went on this boat, a trawler over here. They boarded that too, and that's a documented vessel right there. As far as I know, that's what happened recently.
And that's in Boca Chica.
Okay,
in
wait.
Boca Chica.
So they said, the lady I talked to, the dog, she said they went in your boat and they pulled up the bed sheets?
Pulled up the bed sheets and the bed stuff. They damaged the rub rail on that side. You can kind of see it. It's on the corner of it over there.
But they did actually look through your clothes and your bed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Say my engine was too small. My board is the one that the Mercury. With the shifter, you actually can go in forward and backward. You don't have to go in and click it. So I can have you're not trying to explain it to them like, hey, with an extension pole, I can drive them on boat perfect. I can see 360, no problem at all. They don't care about that. Like, they don't even let me start the diesel engine, the other side. I say, oh, this engine don't work in here. Like,
So they looked at the engine and said it doesn't work.
they don't even look at it. They don't even care. Was no.
So how many? So I saw you had 3 charges for abandoned vessel. Okay, so it was a liveaboard.
Right.
Okay, now tell me about them coming to your liveaboard.
They came, they were still, but then it has turned into all of this criminal mess. And then when I ask about what I have to do to bring this boat up to par, I need a bilge pump and automated switch and battery and solar panel to keep all of that charged, as well as needing an engine. And I'm being told that it needs to have helm control, that my tiller control is not adequate.
And he said, why is that? Because...
And he expressed that it was the original design and that we need to bring them back to the original configuration in terms of utility.
So he's telling you that by law, you have to make sure that your vessel is exactly as it was the day it was manufactured.
With regards to the engine and controls and navigation capabilities, that's what I've been told, yes. But I must add that I've also, in question of what they're telling me, I've called Tallahassee and spoke with an officer up there named Seth something, and he is the one, and that's why I stopped all the motion, because he told me that this helm control wasn't required. But yet they're insisting that I need it down here. Beginning of this, did my houseboat, my liveaboard, even need an engine? And I have yet to get a satisfactory answer regarding that question.
From your public defender?
Not
from anybody?
Nobody, exactly.
They make these laws so vague that, it's up to the interpretation of the officer,
So the question is, what is a derelict vessel? What equipment is required? If you look at the pictures of derelict vessels on government websites, a derelict vessel can easily be recognized from the outside as having no value to anyone. However, as we've learned, the law south of Miami is that even if your boat is the proverbial castle, if an FWC officer believes your boat cannot navigate, you will be arrested and your boat will be destroyed at your expense. At least this has been Captain Dupree's policy for many years.
How are you? I'm Dave Dupree.
Hi, Amber. Nice
Nice.
meeting. To keep in mind is that these weren't just boats. I mean, they're people's homes here. And from what they told us, at least, was that upon arrival of the FWC, they weren't given much time to even gather their belongings and move out. I mean, I couldn't imagine having 10 minutes to get my stuff.
We've never kicked anybody off a boat. Not ever have we kicked anybody off a boat. Those people who left this boat weren't kicked off the boat. They told the investigator, I can't fix his boat. And we said, well, if you can't fix his boat and make it legal, we're gonna take the boat. The things he needs to do, get the registration, get the motors on there, do whatever he needs to do to bring it in compliance, and then bring the boat up to standard so that it actually is a boat, that it works like a boat.
Those so-called standards are what make liveaboards in the Keys cry foul. At a recent public meeting on Stock Island, FWC's Tallahassee lawyers seemed to disagree with Captain Dupree's definition of derelict vessel.
Okay, so one, the supervisor. The supervisor has said to us, for years now, we've been confronting him with this. And he has said to us that, yes, a vessel that has no means of propulsion, period, is considered a derelict vessel. He agrees with his officers doing this.
The officers should not be charging people with a criminal violation simply because their boats do not have means of propulsion. Yet your officers are doing it over and over and over again. I'm not hearing from you that you're telling them not to do so. In fact, I'm hearing from all of you for years that that's exactly what
That's incorrect. You haven't heard that from me. You would never hear that from me. And so now that I'm hearing it, I can tell you that I'll go back and talk to the major over the boating and waterways section, who would have the responsibility of informing every one of our majors in the entire state of Florida that if they're doing that, that's incorrect. It's very clear, and I will tell you, I'm sorry if that's actually indeed what is happening. But what we know in Tallahassee is not always what's happening in the state. So I will tell you, Brady Elliott, attorney for the boating and waterways section, I will go back and talk to Major Rob Rowe, who's over the boating and waterways section, and say, if this is happening, we need to I will just say, we need to communicate with all of our folks and let them know, not if it's happening, we need to let them know if a boat is in other operational condition but doesn't have an effective means of propulsion, it is clear from the law that is an at-risk vessel, not a derelict vessel. And that is an important distinction, you're right, because if it's at risk, you're going to be charged with a non-criminal infraction after you have an opportunity to get an effective means of propulsion or remove the vessel from the water. But if it's a derelict vessel, it's going to be criminal. And you're right, that's an important distinction. So I will tell you that I will go back and talk to the major about that.
Thank you. Whatever happened after that promise, no relief seems to have come to Florida Keys liveaboards. The public meeting took place on April 2nd. About 3 months later, Christy Clark came home to find that FWC had had her boat towed away and destroyed, even though she had pled not guilty to a derelict vessel charge and was awaiting trial. FWC claims she now owes around $8,000 for the destruction of her own boat. David Espinoza and Tim Tenerovich are still facing derelict vessel charges, both having replaced a steering wheel by a tiller on their respective boats. As to Adam Bounds, he told us he's only alive by some miracle. All I was asking for is help, not for them to come out and shoot me. David Dupree has been put on administrative leave, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is investigating.
Thank you guys so much for letting me include that story here on the Bad Apple Report, because as it turns out, those fish and wildlife cops, they're super bad apples. I know it firsthand. I lived on a boat for 10 years. That's right, at the marina for 10 years. And in the last couple of years, they decided to start targeting us liveaboards, the fish and wildlife guys, and they'd walk right down the dock, walk right onto our boat. They did it when we were out in the lake as well. And just for your information, you do not have a Fourth Amendment right on the water. You also do not have a Second Amendment right on the water. No guns on your boat, buddy. So those two reasons alone got me off the water and onto a farm. I will say that the boat life is calling me again. And so We'll see how that goes. But for now, I'm enjoying the farm life. Thank you so much for being here to watch the Bad Apple Report right here at home on the range. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early.